So we're recording now. So welcome to the call, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Emerald Director Kerry Dean all the way.
I lost you, Oliver.
Okay, just introducing you. So yeah, I said. No problem. Go.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Great, great. So my name is Kerry Dean, and I'm a founder with GPG, and I am really proud and honored to be asked to be on the call today and to talk to all of you. And one of the things that's so great right now, regardless of what country you're in, is that the new Thrive promotion. Are all of you excited about Thrive?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's so great because I always joke and say that US money always comes in the right size and color. Wouldn't you agree? So one of the things with the Thrive promotion is that every rank, it doesn't matter if you're going for Jade or if you're going for Emerald, every rank requires volume, doesn't it? And volume is the movement of product through your business. And so what you want to do is when you have a short 2-month promotion like this, you want to look at how to maximize your volume and how to take advantage of it more quickly and more effectively. And in that way, you're leveraging your time, because some of you work full time and some of you, maybe some of you do this full time, but for a lot of your team, they will have another job as well as this, correct? For a lot of your team, this will not be their only endeavor. So they need to learn to leverage their time and maximize what they can do in short spaces. And so in my experience, the highest sign-up rate in anything you do with Jeunesse that leverages your time is to have small group meetings. And the reason for that is if you have a big meeting, people get away from you, don't they? They walk out of the back of the room, they leave before you finish. You don't get to have a big as close if you have a big meeting as if you have a small meeting. And if you have a small meeting, it can be more effective because you're talking to more people at once than if you're doing a one-on-one. Does that make sense? Okay, so with small group meetings, there's different things you can do, but one of the things you want to be able to do is duplicate it through your group. So you want your group to look at a small group meeting and say, okay, how can I do this for me to maximize my time? So you can do small group meetings anywhere. You can do them in your home, you can do them in an office, you can do them in a boardroom, you can do them in a small room in a restaurant. And you can call them anything you want. You can be creative. You can call it a business launch. You can call it a party. You can call it wine and wrinkles. You can call it business executive luncheon. You can call it a lunch and learn. There's all different things that you can do. And so you can do a lot of creative things to have this group together. But the idea is to get a small group together. And that usually, the sign-up rate is usually higher than a big group, and it's more effective, more time effective than a one-to-one. A one-to-one, you have a good chance of signing up the person, right? Because it's just you and that person. And so a one-to-one is a pretty good ratio of signing people up. But the problem with a one-to-one, or even a two-to-one, is that you have to do a lot of them in order to get the same results. And so I want to give you some tips on how to do some small presentations that will work for you and that will work for the people on your team. And anybody can do this. So if you're brand new and you've never done anything, you can still do this, because to be effective, you want to have somebody from your upline Skype in or phone in, or use a Zoom platform in, so that you can represent yourself as a team, even if you're by yourself. If you're in an area where you have a couple of distributors, you can join together and do this together. And so I want to give you some ideas of things that really work and things that can help maximize that volume more quickly. So if you're, the most important thing is that you want to send out an invitation. But the most important thing about any invitation to anything you're doing is to make the person you're sending it to feel important, to feel like you really want them there. You don't want to ever send it by email. If you are sending it on Facebook Messenger or something like that, you want them to feel important, that it's just to them. Because what happens if you send like a mass and you invite 50 people, they feel that they're not important, that you won't notice if they come or not. So the magic number for me has always been 15. And so I would invite 15 people. One of the things I do when you look at each person you're inviting is you think that what they have to offer you that you don't have is they know people you don't know. So I often will say, if you bring a friend, I have a gift for you and your friend. And your gift can be anything from Jeunesse. It should be something from Jeunesse. It can be a little pouch with some Instantly Ageless or some Mind or whatever you want. That can be the gift. But you want to give something for a gift so that they are encouraged to bring someone with them. So if you invite 15, 10, my numbers are probably 10 will say they're going to come. 8 will actually show up. Of the 8 that show up, half of them will bring a friend. That's the normal numbers that I found all through the businesses, no matter what business I am. So half of them will bring a friend. So then you're back up to 12. So then you're going to do your presentation, and you're back up, you're doing a presentation in front of 12 people. So if the 12 people say you're new, so half of them sign up. So there's 6 people, you've got 6 new people. If you did 3 of those a week, that's 18 new people. How many people would you have to do a one-on-one to get 18 new people in your business? So if you look at it that way, you're leveraging your time. It doesn't take long to do the presentation. It's only 2 hours. But if you can have multiple people doing this at the same time throughout your organization, that they're all doing this, and as your group is growing, your job will be the one that Skypes in. So you might have a night where one night you're going to do one physically yourself, and another night you're just going to be Skyping into people on your team that they are doing it. Does that make sense? Okay. So even if it's in a restaurant, you can still Skype in. And in the beginning, if somebody's brand new, when you Skype in, you might have to do most of the talking. By the time that they're really good at it, they might just need you to do the close. But they all should go the exact same way so that whenever you Skype in, you know exactly where they are in their presentation. And so the first thing, the most powerful thing you can do at any presentation is the 30-second beginning that each person tells something about themselves. So when I start, I always sit down, and I always have everybody kind of sit in a semicircle if I can. If it's in a living room, if it's in a boardroom, you know, I always start with the person to my left. It's just easier for me. I always remember, okay, that's where we are. And I say the exact same thing. If you're a distributor, I'd like you to say your name and what you did before and why you love Jeunesse. And if you're a guest, I would like you to say your name and what you do and why you came. And so as they start in 30 seconds, and I always make a joke, this is like a timer, so you have to get it all out in 30 seconds because you want to keep control. You don't want anybody talking for 5 minutes, and that takes up your whole presentation. But each person in the room says something. And so if a person is a distributor, they might say, well, I'm in Jeunesse, I used to be a teacher. I love Jeunesse because I used the Zen body and I lost 30 pounds. And then the next person says, well, I'm a guest. She invited me. She looked so great. That's why I wanted to come. I'm in real estate. And then the next person, each person gives a little bit. Okay? And the reason that you want to do that is because it's the same as the what's your story. Each person is telling a little bit about themselves. They're telling their story, but the person who's hearing it is either hearing about a product or they're hearing about a nurse. So if I was saying, you know, my name is Kerry Dean, I used to be an emergency room nurse. I loved Jeunesse because I was a single woman and I had to make enough income to support my family. I couldn't do that through nursing. That's my, so what are they going to think? They're going to think, well, I know a nurse. I know a single woman. I know somebody who has to make money. So right there, I'm going to, just with that 20 seconds, I'm going to hit three areas where people in their head are making a list of people they know. So once they're making that list in their head, virtually they are in your business. They don't know it. They haven't heard anything. They haven't tried anything. They haven't seen anything, but they're making a list in their head because most people will know people that are in one of the of those 12 people that are sitting there. They'll know somebody who's in that profession or know of somebody who's in that profession. Does that make sense? So that beginning is the most important thing you do at any meeting. And the reason it's so important is because it brings the room together. It's usually funny because some people will say, I have no idea what I came. She dragged me and said, we need to get a gift. I don't know why I'm here. But they all will say something, and it starts a camaraderie with the group. The next thing you want to do is you want to show a video. Now, I don't care which video you use. If you're going to demonstrate a product, use the product video. I like the 6-year video. It's short. It tells something. You want to show something, and you want everybody to be watching the video, because when you're new, especially, it takes the edge off. It makes it easier because the whole group is watching the video. And I don't care if you have seen the video 200 times, you watch that video as if you've never seen it before. And so at the end of the video, you always say, isn't that great? Now, if you're going to demonstrate a product, I'm going to tell you, it always is better if you can have something you can demonstrate. Whether it's the Instantly Ageless or the NV, or they try a reserve, or they try something physical, because that gets the talking going amongst them. So you're going to do your presentation, you're going to watch the video, and then you're going to start and give some of the things about Jeunesse that you love. You want to have a product display. So if you're new and your product hasn't arrived yet, and this is your business launch and you don't even have anything yet, you put up a picture of the products. If you've been in the business for a while, keep all of your containers so that your display is something that you can just easily put up and down, but it's empty boxes. I have had people walk away with full product. That was a hard lesson to learn. So now I know to use empty boxes, but I always have a display. And the reason that's so important is because if you're demonstrating mind, and you're talking about mind, and that's the product you're kind of promoting that night, but they really are more interested in skincare, at least they'll see it sitting there. And so you can do a party around, or a presentation around any one of our products, or for me, I normally do it around the business. And then I present the product. This product is so great, you can see why it's so easy for me to build this business. And I always talk about the product in that way. I'd like to present this as a business that I'm doing, and I'm having fun with that. I'm getting healthier with that. I'm whatever it is, but I like to sample something. And the reason for that is that puts people more at ease as well. It's a feel touch thing, and that is conducive to talking about the products. I'm trying to go through this quickly, but if you were Skyping in and you're the leader of the group and you're Skyping in, you could say, oh, what video did you watch? Wasn't that great? Have you tried the product? Which product did you try? Isn't that great? And then you move to the next part of the presentation. So as you're going through it, you want it to be fairly quickly, and then you want to do a close. So I find, and you know, I always talk about, if you can press send, you can do this business, because I always like to use as part of the presentation my phone and show everybody that. But then when I'm in a group, a small group, I like to have the paper presentations. Now, the paper applications. The reason I like to do that is because I like to do a group close all at once. And I find it easier if I do that to get everybody's names and things. So I tell them what the URL means, because nobody knows that. It's a stupid thing that company has. So I say, pick a URL, and I always give the same advice. You're starting a business, you're branding yourself. It's a lot easier to brand yourself as your name, as part of your brand, because that's going to help people get to your website rather than having it something like Madness in Manhattan. I have somebody, that's their actual Madness in Manhattan. So if they were looking for this person, the chances of them putting in Madness in Manhattan is small, correct? They're looking, if the person's name is John Smith, there might be 100 of them, so you might want to do a variation of that. But so I always recommend they use something with their own name or something that's going to tie to them. So, and then I would go through and I tell them to put their address of where they want their checks to be sent. Remember, I'm talking about a business. And so the company's going to be putting, so you want the address of your shipments, but you want your address of where the information and the checks are going to be sent. And if you're lucky, and you're in, like most countries now, you can have direct deposit. I make sure I tell them that. So I'm talking about the ways they're getting paid. So they're already thinking at the beginning of, yes, I'm going to have money coming in. I want them to be seeing this as a way to make money, not a way to spend money. So I'm always talking about this is what you're going to have coming in. This is what we do. It's easy because these products are so great, and it's relaxed, it's fun, it's stress-free way to make an income, right? Does that make sense? So that's the message you want to get across. If you look harried, if you look nervous, if you look, if you're talking in front of a huge group, it's harder for people to imagine themselves doing that. But if you're sitting and they're sitting, people think, well, she's not that smart. If she can do it, I can do it. And that's what you want to get across, that this is something that they could do. Because the easier you make it, you'll never remember to say everything you want to say, but the less you can say, the easier it is. And the more apt they are to join the business. And so one of the things I do always say is now, if you don't mind, on the top of the application there, can you just put the time that you handed this in for me? And the reason I want you to put the time is that, I'm pretty new to this myself, but I have a group and we have a bunch of these going on. And I want to make sure that the people who are joining in other cities and things are going to be in your business instead of you being in their business. So I go by the times, and I'll put everybody in and put them in by the times. Well, I've had people cheat and lie about the times they put on there because they want to get in before someone else. And so that's what you want to do. You want to create a reason for them to get involved now. And if you're doing this and you can duplicate it throughout your group, then what you're doing is you can have, this is what I would suggest you're doing, because you only have 2 months to get this done and get the volume in there. So you can say, okay, I'm going to be available on Skype to call in on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, and then on Wednesday nights, I'm going to do one myself. And you could be calling into 5 or 6 different groups that a night, because you're only doing part for some of them, right? Does that make sense? So all you're doing is calling in, but what you're letting that group know is that they're bigger than just the person sitting there. So if you have a group of friends that are there, then they can see that you're part of a team. And most people who don't get involved with a company like Jeunesse, the reason, their fear is that nobody's going to help me. And what if I don't know what to do? Nobody's going to be there to help me. So when they see that they're part of a team and you mention to them, we're here to help you because our success depends on your success, and I can't be successful unless you're successful. So if you want to make money here, I'm here to help you do that. Now, if they're absolutely not interested in making money and have all the money in the world already, I always say the same thing. I always say, now, if you've got more money than you need and you just happen to make a little bit extra, you can send it to me and I'll figure out what to do with it. So that way they joke and they laugh, because nobody has more than they need, right? What they don't want is things that are going to take up time and take not have any help and not know what to do. But if you make it relaxed and easy, they can see this is a way that I could do this. And so as part of the close, then I usually talk about the packages and the different ways to get started. And I like to talk about why I chose the packages and why I chose the ambassador package. And what I always say for the ambassador package, I always say the same thing. I always say, this is the package I started with. The reason I started with this package is because I knew that I needed to make money quickly. And with the ambassador package, I was paid as Sapphire. And even though I had no idea what that rank meant and how long it was going to take me to get to Sapphire, I needed to be paid at that level. And I wanted to be paid as much as I could, as quickly as I could, because that was important for me and my family. And so I always say that because people will then say, well, yeah, that just makes sense. If I get that package, I'm going to be paid at a higher level for a longer time more quickly. If I can swing it, I'm going to do that. I talk about the other packages, but I always talk the most about being paid as a Sapphire. Does that make sense? Yes? Nodding. Okay, a few nods. Good, good. So that's one of the things you want to do as part of the close. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, that's when you want to have somebody from your upline call in. During the presentation, you can do a variety of things. You can just follow along. You can put up Paula's presentation and follow along. You can use the slides that the company provides. The company's got them right there. You can use the slides. Or you can just talk a little bit about each area. And most people, when they come, they don't want to stay long. They want to try some products. They want to see is this something I could do. But the ratio of people that you get by having a smaller group is a lot higher ratio than by having a large group. And when you're looking at the time, you have 6 weeks left to finish the Thrive. You want to look at the maximum people you can get in that time, because they are going to be the ones that move the product. Does that make sense? So the more people you can get in front of. So if you're a person and you only know a few people, that's okay. Having them bring the guest really works. If you can say, I have a small gift for you and your guest that you bring, if you bring a guest, I can guarantee you will get some guests with them. If you make people feel that they're important to you, then they will come. When you have it where nobody shows up and you hear about that, oh, I went to all this work and nobody showed up. Well, how much work do you have to do? You have to put up some boxes, really. It's not that much work. And it's for a short length of time. So the reason that happens is because people over-invite and people don't feel special. And so they feel like they don't have to really come. And then I always make sure that I thank the people. I thank the people that come, you know, but I always get in touch with the ones that I didn't. And I always send a little note. And the note always says basically the same thing. I always say, I'm so sorry we missed you the other night. It was such a great night. I'm looking forward to having you on another time. And this is what we're going to do next. I can't wait to see you then. And so you want to say something to, no matter what their reason, maybe they're just rude and they didn't come. You don't give up on that person until they come, until they get down in front of you and see what you have to offer. I never give up on anybody. So if they don't show up 5 times, I invite them 10 times. I don't give up on a person. And that's a big mistake a lot of distributors make. They think, well, they must not like me. I just take for granted that something came up. And that's how we are. You know, I've been invited to all sorts of things and something came up. And your business is not as important to them as it is to you. So you have to remember, you just keep on inviting people. And invite the same ones, let them come, let them see. they will eventually show up, and they could be your best people. One of the easiest ways you can do this is if you have distributors in your area, you can get together and you can do it. If you do some things around food, I always say to do something like a potluck where you each bring a dish and you bring a guest, but everybody has to show up with their dish and with a guest. And one time I was doing that at my own home, and my guest canceled. It was at my house. My guest canceled, and the rule was we had to have a guest. So I went to my neighbor and I asked her to come over, and I said, I need you for a guest. And come and have lunch. It's at my house, I have to have a guest. And she came, and she had 8 brothers and sisters, and she brought them all into the business. I had no idea. And so she joined the business. She turned out to be a great distributor, and she was a neighbor. So there's always things you could do if you decide you're going to do this kind of thing, because it really works over a short time to get that volume up. And some people think that people don't like get-togethers like that. Right now, in network marketing worldwide, the people that are doing the best in all companies are the ones that are doing home meetings. So whether you have a home or not, you don't have to do it in a home. As I said, you can do it in a boardroom. You can do a lunch and learn where people get together for lunch. If you're talking to business people, you maybe want to do an information night. You can do it as a party. It doesn't matter. Your whole goal is to get small groups of people together, because those small groups, the more you talk to the group, it's more comfortable, it's warm and friendly, people get to ask questions, they feel important, and you get to close more people more rapidly, and so you have more volume going through your business. So over the next 6 weeks, when you're in your Thrive, if you decided, I'm going to do a couple of these a week, I'm going to have my people do them, and I'm going to phone in. If you're a leader, if you're new, you want to look at the people who are already having some success and have them Skype in. It doesn't take long for a leader to Skype in. They could Skype in for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you need. When you start doing presentations and you're teaching a team member how to do a presentation, the first thing you do is you do it all and let them watch you. The next thing you do is you do almost all of it, and you let them talk about one part. For instance, maybe the product. The next thing you do is, and you talk about the compensation plan, you do the close. The next thing you do, the next time, is you let them talk about the product and the compensation plan, and you're there to fill in where they're weaker. If they miss something, you can fill it in, and you can do that easily and naturally. And by the last time, you're really just there looking pretty, and they're doing the whole thing. And usually if a person's heard you do a presentation 3 or 4 times, sorry about that. If a person's heard you do a presentation 3 or 4 times, they will not have to, sorry. Sure, they're phoning with a big order. They only have to hear it a few times before they are comfortable themselves to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I want to encourage you to try it. You have nothing to lose to try it. Whether you decide to do it as a breakfast, there was a time in that I did a bunch of breakfast meetings. So we had people doing breakfast meetings, and I just called into each one of them. They were in different time zones. And in the United States, 2 or 3 of them were in it's called a Denny's restaurant. And they had this little room right in the restaurant. So they did everything exactly the same, whether they were doing it around a breakfast meeting, whether they were doing it in a home meeting with wine and having that kind of around a pool, whether they were doing it in a boardroom meeting and making it more for business professionals. The idea is, they're very persistent. So there we go. There we go. The idea is to get the small group together, because that is leveraging your time. So if you think about it, so if you had 12 people actually there and 6 joined, and if you had 3 of those going on a week in your business, so there's 18 people. Now, to have 18 people actually join, you probably had to invite 45 people. So in order to do presentations to 45 people, to get those 18 people or to that many people, in order to do those presentations, what you need to do, think of the hours that would take if you were doing a one-to-one. I don't know how your experience has been, but I have gone to large meetings where we've had 500 or 600 people, and I have invited 10, and I would not have as many show up for myself personally as if I had invited them to a smaller group. Now, sometimes people will want to go to those big meetings, and they're always great, but I always have to do a follow-up because the chances of them being closed at the big meetings are smaller than they are if they're at a small meeting. As I said, you can do one-to-one meetings, but you have to do a lot of them in the next 6 weeks in order to get that volume you need to rank up for the Thrive. So you're looking at ways to maximize my volume. And if you present it with the ambassador package and you're looking at why people would choose that package when they're joining up, you'll have more people joining with that volume, which is going to increase the volume you need for the Thrive promotion. So we only get paid if products are purchased. And that's why I think it's so important to have a product display all the time. Whatever you're doing, always have a product display and always sample product. I do believe in those things. I do believe in letting people try things before because it gives them an opportunity to see this as a true business. But some of the things that I talk about and that I always mention in my presentation that are different than other businesses that are out there, different than other network marketing businesses. I always talk about that it has a true residual income, that this is a willable business, and that you can sell your business. So you might ask yourself, well, why would you talk about selling your business to somebody when they haven't even started it yet? And it's because I want them to see that it's a true business. And if you opened a flower shop or a donut shop or something like that, and you were going to retire, you would probably have a family member that you've trained to take it over. And if you didn't have somebody like that, you would probably sell it to someone else. In most networking marketing companies, in fact, in 90% of network marketing companies, you cannot sell them and they are not willable. And in our company, they are. And that makes any time people spend, that time that they're spending building a true asset. Because if you can leave something to someone else, if you can sell something to someone else, it is an asset, correct? So when people are looking at, okay, this is something I'm going to do in order to add to my income, you want to get that across to them that what they're spending their time doing, they have something at the end that is a true asset. In all direct sales companies, none of them are true assets because when you leave, the customers stay with the company. It's just like a job. When you quit, the business is over. In most network marketing companies, they have what's called a leadership income, not a true residual income. All of you know Ian and Judy Murray. What you may not know is that Ian was ill a few years ago. When he was ill, because the company he was in had a true residual income, even though he could not work for 8 months, at the end of that 8 months, his income had actually gone up, not down. So if you think of other kind of companies where if you didn't work for 8 months, other jobs, if you didn't work for 8 months, would your income go up? No, right? So that's what's unique about a company like Jeunesse. And so I'd like to get that point across to everyone. I want them to see that this is a true business. It's a true asset. This is something that they can do. They can have fun doing it. They can become more healthy doing it. We have products that are easy to promote because of the science behind them. But you can leverage your time and you can talk to a lot of people in a short amount of time, and you don't have to, and you can work that around in what other business they are doing. Because a lot of people today believe they're so stressed. If you've met anybody that thinks they're stressed, maybe even yourself, right? People think they're stressed. They wear their stress like a badge of honor. But if they can see a way that they can eliminate their stress, they can have a good time. It doesn't seem that hard because this blonde lady over here is not all that smart, and she's doing it. That's what you want. You want them to see that this is an easy thing to do. She needed help, so she called in help. All she did is show me a video. And then they can see, if she could do this and make money, I could do this and make money, because I know I could do exactly what she did. And that's what you want to do. You never want to let on that you're the smartest person in the room. You're already smarter than them because you're already in Jeunesse. But you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be the person that they think, if she can do it, I can do it. I can remember when I met Teresa Gregory, I asked her a bunch of questions. She didn't know any of the answers. And I thought to myself, I am going to make a fortune here, because this woman was making $2 million a year and she didn't even know the answers to any of my questions. Now, of course, I knew. Now she's making $5 million a year. I know she knew all the answers. She just was letting me learn some of the things on my own. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to build a Jeunesse business. All you have to do is care about people. You have to be willing to make them feel special. You have to be willing to show them and let them try the products. And the key reason that I like to always make sure that I talk about the products, show the products, have a product display, is that if any of you have ever been asked, is this a pyramid? Have any of you ever had that question? Is this a pyramid? A pyramid, there is no product involved. A pyramid is an illegal money scam. And you might think to yourself, why would anybody think I would be involved in something like that? But people do that because they don't understand. We are a very real company. We are very real people, and we have a very real product, and we really want to help others be successful. And that's what our goal is. And when you have a small group presentation like that, you can drive that home to people. So I hope that was helpful. I hope some of you decide to incorporate that into your Thrive energy for the next 6 weeks and really drive it home, bring that volume in. And I'm wishing you every bit of success that every one of you deserves to have. So thanks very much for having me on the call today. Bye. Bye.
Wow, Kerry, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Guys, how good was that? I don't know if you have any comments, if you want to chat in the chat box or add anything, but Kerry, that was just so practical, and there was so much information you shared there that if people apply, I'm sure they will get phenomenal results. And I just resonated with so much of what you just said. It just shows how much experience you have in the industry. And I hope that you guys took a lot of good notes, because if you apply even half of what you just heard, I'm sure you will rank advanced in the next few months.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Great week coming up. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Kerry. We'll post the recording on the Facebook page. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cool, everyone. Thanks so much for jumping on the training. I'm going to end the recording, and I will send this to the groups in about 20 minutes or so.